Hey.
Hi everyone. So what we're doing instead of a regular discussion podcast this week is we're going to do a little bit of a compose as we go and kind of have a chat about what we're doing. We just had a very fun
About an hour.
about an hour of getting all the software to work, but
Yeah.
it's all set up now
Yeah.
and we're ready to go.
Yeah. So basically, this is a podcast with a visual aspect behind it. So I'm sure we'll put up a one without the video, but you'll be missing out if you don't watch it on the YouTubes instead.
Yeah, and I'll talk through everyone. So for everyone, because everyone can't see, I'm
Hmm.
sitting at the computer. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be going through some stuff for my Banjo Kazooie remix
Yep.
piece that I'm doing, and Richard's going to be sitting alongside as well. And I'll
Totally not judging.
yeah yeah totally not reevaluating why he's working with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll go through and we'll talk about things as we go through and do them, and it'll all turn out well.
Yeah.
So so I've already got Cubase open. So basically, if for those who aren't already aware of what we've been doing, the Let's Play series that we've been doing in conjunction with these podcasts, basically when we finish a game, we both do a piece of music. One of them is generally a new piece written in the style of that, although I think for this one it's slightly different. And the second one, what I've got for the Banjo Kazooie, is remixing some music from the game in the style of some other.
Some kind of really different thing.
Yeah.
Is the idea. So you can't be like, I'll do Banjo Kazooie in the style of Banjo Tooie or something like that, because that's just lame.
Well, it's
But if it's
essentially
like,
the same.
yeah, Banjo Kazooie as a sci-fi horror, then yeah, cool.
Yeah.
That's not what you're doing, I'm assuming.
No, because we did during in one of the episodes discuss Game of Thrones. So excuse me, that's what I've decided to kick on with.
Yeah.
So basically, what I've done, the way I generally start when doing these kind of remixes is to try and find a MIDI file with the piece in there, because it just saves a lot of time getting the tracks sorted. It gives you all of your essentially what are your stems for the track already. And luckily enough, we were able to find one. I might just play 10 or 15 seconds now.
Yeah,
so
given
you get the idea.
so you can hear the lovely Hawaiian sonic.
Yeah, so that's just running through Hello as a default. I'm not going to be using that for the final mix. So what we're going to be doing is adding in sample instruments and putting new sounds to the stems that we already have here. I'm also going to be altering them a bit.
Yeah, altering them, chopping and changing, adding whatever you want in order to fit whatever you've decided is your thing, which is typical fantasy, I guess, as the style.
Yeah. Well, I thought there's actually some handy little bits that we can take straight away from if you look at kind of the music behind it. If you kind of go back to Game of Thrones and look at the main theme in particular, there's some things that we could use to shape what we already have here. So I'm going to jump right into the strings.
Yeah, you just start doing it, and I'll sit here and try and talk about things.
Yeah.
It doesn't help that I've seen bits and pieces of Game of Thrones, but I've never actually watched it before. I've listened to the music plenty of times, and I've done my remix of because mine is the opposite way around. It's the Game of Thrones theme in the style of Banjo Kazooie. So I spent a while and I already actually had all the sound fonts from Banjo Kazooie. So I basically made it using the original sound fonts from BK, which was good fun and really annoying, because it's hard to kind of create a tune out of a single sample.
Oh yeah,
so
definitely.
But I've managed,
Yeah.
and it sounds okay, I guess. As okay
sure
as
it does.
those samples sound.
Well, we'll find out soon. In fact, we'll probably be finding out around about the time when this lands.
Something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
Anyway,
Get
well,
started.
you've already heard the Game of Thrones theme by doing that anyway, which is fine because that's what I'm going to be using for a bit of this. So I'm just going to actually start by taking a bit of a slice out of this string stem, mainly just because it's they're all connected because it's just been output as MIDI.
Yeah.
All the MIDI tracks are in one long file, and it's just a bit easier to break it up and work with.
Yeah.
That. And secondly, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start setting up some instruments. Normally we might work from a template when we're doing this, but I thought we'd just go from scratch so we can set everything up.
Yeah, no, that's good. Like
from the start.
I've made a load of templates on my Cubase, just carrying as you're going. But I found I rarely use them because I'm like, well, I actually don't want any of these.
Yeah.
Or I open it and be like, well, I just want one of these instruments, so I'll just do normal things. So
yeah, it does. Sometimes it I have my only real templates when I know I want a really big setup that's going to take me a long time just to set up. But if I'm doing a smaller track, I'll generally just go ad hoc.
Yeah.
And set it up from there. So I'm just going to.
So this is your collection of stuff that uses Contact Player.
Yep.
I like that. Fancy, and then you scroll down. It's like defaults.
Just slam all the defaults down there. In fact, factory library should probably be lower than it is. But
I don't even have the factory library anymore.
Funnily enough, those were the woodwind sounds that I used with my Pikmin track last time. Oh, really?
Okay. Because they weren't too bad, actually.
Yeah. Originally, I was just going to use them anyway. Well, firstly, because I'm in the process of getting some good woodwind samples to use. And by in the process, I mean I need to do it.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to use them because I thought, well, the factory library sounds will probably give me the right kind of level of samples that I want to use to kind of match or kind of feel that era of the kind of samples that we're using. But they actually turned out to be quite decent. In particular, like the piccolo sound was pretty cool. But anyway.
Yeah, anyway, set up the stuff while you're talking.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to be at blank screens.
Going to be here for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be using those for now, though, because I'm going to be setting up some strings, and I'm going to be using Adagio.
Adagio stuff.
Yep. Which
is pretty solid.
Very nice things. Now, I'm going to use... I will probably
if it's are you using the thing, aren't you?
Yeah.
Use some kind of short note, I guess.
I'm going to be changing that, though. Because I'm going to be changing the rhythm on that. So I'm actually going to use some sort of legato. Let's go cantabile. Just try that out.
Yeah, okay, that could work. Yes.
Let's let that load. And I'm just so just generally a bit of what I do when I'm setting up instruments. I kind of try and keep everything organized just to keep my head straight from the start. So I'll do a folder for particular families. And then within that, I'll actually separate out by my instruments because, I just find...
it's easy to find them if you get lost. Because, some projects have, upwards of 100 tracks sometimes. So it's easy to get lost when trying to do them.
Oh, definitely. And if you have the resources on your computer, if you have a decent CPU and good RAM, it's easier to kind of split things up a bit more.
Yeah. Even
though you could probably get away with running less instances of Contact or something like that. You may as well just use what you can do. I don't want to put that in there. Because again, it's just easier to work out where everything is, and when you're trying to find something that you want to use, what's there. I'm going to keep those tracks up the top for reference as well. I might just group these in a folder.
Yeah, I tend to do that. Just group them all in a big MIDI folder, so you can mute them when you need to.
MIDI, and also so I can get them out of the way. And have my things working up here. So I just tend to color things to keep it a bit easier as well. You don't have to, but I just find it's a bit easier.
Oh yeah, colors. All right. So there's your piano roll.
Yeah. So I'll check my inputs as well. One other thing. because I generally run with contact instruments off the rack, and I know that you do too.
I actually don't anymore.
Okay, have you gone back to tracks?
Yeah, just because my screen's about the same size as your screen, I found it was taking up too much space on the screen, so I was just like, fuck it, I'll just use tracks.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I think now it used to be an issue in Cubase, or it used to be easier to run off one or the other, but I think nowadays
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so.
Whatever's easy for you, but you do need to just remember to set your MIDI inputs to the right things.
It'll be
And
number one.
Running off one. Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't need those.
I actually can't hear it, so let's see how it goes. Go.
And we are getting nothing. Check my outputs. I'll just...
What
have I got in here? Standard one. Should be working. Oh, hang on. Let me check.
Yes, no? No, you're not getting anything.
We're not getting anything. First problem.
Yay.
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 Let me just check.
Okay. Well, let me go through while Stefan's currently trying to fix this shit. Like I said, we spent an hour trying to fix this because I use the DirectX duplex driver for my Cubase whenever I want to listen to stuff outside of Cubase, because one of the things that is very annoying is that Cubase completely hogs your audio when you go and use it. So the problem with that is that if you want to like watch a YouTube video whilst Cubase is open, can't do it. Cubase says, nah, my audio is mine.
Hang on. I think I've worked out what the problem is.
Is it too high?
Yes.
It is too high. God damn it.
There's always something simple that I forget.
Okay.
But yeah, what Richard was saying was a very valid point. Cubase, like it always takes a bit of setup with your system depending on what you're running.
Yeah, it hogs your audio basically. So when we're trying to record, it's easy enough to record the screen, but when we want to record the audio as well, then it becomes a nightmare. A 1 hour nightmare. Just play it so we can make sure it's absolutely working now. Not that one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no. Yeah, okay, cool.
Cool.
And you can hear the cello?
Yeah, I can.
Good.
I can in my headphones, which is good.
Yeah, we've got Stefan on headphones because otherwise the speakers will just bleed into the mics and you'll hear some crazy infinite loop that will kill it all.
Yeah. Okay, enough. Some other things that I forgot to do right at the start, but I can do now. I'm going to add a tempo track.
Yep.
And move that up to the top. Again, you don't need to actually have these as tracks in the on your workspace, but I just find it handy.
Yeah, no, I do
to keep them in. I'm gonna. One other little handy thing in Cubase is this beat calculator when you want to kind of get a. No, too slow.
Oh, I didn't know it had that. Nice. Okay, so you keep tapping spacebar and then it figures out the tempo.
Yeah, it figures out the tempo.
That's cool.
I'm just going to work out how this subdivides. I should have done this in my head. I can also put in, because I think I will need to change the time signature, put in my signature track up the top as well.
All right, cool.
Yeah, again, they're just kind of handy to have up the top for reference.
This is currently 4/4.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. Just make sure I know my time signatures.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna. I haven't looked up how the Game of Thrones one is.
Oh, I can tell you all about that if you want.
I'm just gonna do it this way.
I spent a while quickly deciphering it. It's in 6/8.
Yep.
It is in C
let's
minor.
do it properly then. 6/8.
Yeah, it's in C minor.
Actually, no, that works well for what I want.
Okay, good.
And let's go back to here.
Yeah, it was in C minor. I think the progression at the start is C minor, G minor, B flat major, F minor, and then just repeats that a couple of times. Then goes to C major for some reason. It goes back, and then there's a small bit which goes A flat, major or minor, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Then E flat, then F minor and C minor again.
Cool.
All fancy.
Well, I'm just gonna well, we'll run with it in 6/8, and
Yeah.
I'm just going to adjust the tempo as I kind of work it out. But
Okay.
what I'm basically going to do with the strings for the start, if you're familiar with the Game of Thrones theme, it starts with that kind of dun 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 dun.
Yep.
Dun. So we're going to put a bit of that in this string rhythm. So
Dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
That'll work. Yeah.
I'm just going to mute this track for a second because otherwise it's going to make noise every time I drag things.
Oh, no, go for it. That's the
real experience.
Yeah.
I also need to change my
from a quarter.
montage.
Yeah. Blam.
We'll keep it in the Freeze Easy Peak keys for now. Just to see how it sounds. So it's gonna be like
dun, dun,
dun,
dun,
dun.
dun,
So
dun,
this one's shorter.
Yep.
Actually, I'm gonna need to go shorter. So
Mm.
it should be dun 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 dun. So dun 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 dun, and then this here, and then that should pretty much.
Oh yeah,
repeat.
that works fine.
So,
yeah.
We'll just go in cells with a bar to keep it easier. One thing I want.
Yeah, if you need to copy and paste, just copy and paste.
Yeah.
That's one of the pro tips that we can give you.
Yeah, just save your time. That should be muted. Oh, it's just cello sounds. I was like, this is weird tambourine noise. But one thing that we'll need to do though is to overlap things a bit for the purposes of the legato. If this is going to work in
The
legato,
legato?
it might be a bit quick for legato.
We'll give it a try anyway. I don't think it really matters because you're going quick enough. You don't need to change the key switch.
Yeah.
Because they're more to do with long notes.
Oh yeah.
So just overlap all these and then just repeat the thing.
So what I might just do, because this is so short, I'll subdivide it again. Actually,
I overlap by sending the notes forward one, rather than what you were about to do, which is sending them back a bit. Just because if you think about it, the legato is what it does is it puts another sample in between the two notes. So you kind of want the actual second note to be where the beat is.
No, I'm just getting I'm just subdividing my quantization a bit further so I can actually drag them out.
Yeah, no. So what I mean is that the second note should go into the first one by like a 64th.
Okay.
That's how I found the best way to do it, because then you get the kind of legato, but at the same time, it's you still have the note on the beat, as opposed to kind of as legato can sometimes tend to be, where you're not even sure where the note is or where the beat is, because it's just legato everywhere.
Oh, this needs to be longer. There we go. I was wondering how there's a weird gap there.
Yeah. Okay. So now I could. That sound right?
Yep. I think let's just put two of them together so I can hear the.
Yeah.
We might get something around that. This one sounds a bit weird.
How so? If you want to pass me the headphones, I could have a listen.
Yeah, I think it might just be the sample.
Throw me from the beginning. Go. Yeah, what it is the legato sample is too long for it.
Yeah.
So you'll need to choose a different legato.
Yep.
Cool. One that's quick, but I don't remember which ones are quick in Adagio cellos. So just go into it and have a look.
Try something else. Where are we? Here. Oh, what am I doing? It's up here. The other thing we could try is try the legato master.
So I can't read them from here, so name me the legatos.
So we have Cantabile, Dolce, Emo Slur, Instinct, Perdition.
Instinct is the quick one, I think.
Yeah. Let's try that. I'm just going to flat out replace
It's difficult to tell, because whilst Adagio strings is really good, they like to name them in really unuseful ways.
Yeah, so basically, like, they've named them after a particular style of string from a, like a movie score.
Yeah.
So, like, Perdition, obviously.
Yeah.
And then
So yeah, and a good example is the solo violin is called the Schindler's Legato.
Yeah.
Because it's based off Schindler's List. I'm like, cool, okay. I'm not sure how that helps me when doing things quickly, but you know, is that better?
Yeah, that sounds good. And I might even actually drop the tempo a little bit more.
Okay.
Just because. Oh, I need to get
if
in
you
there
if you tap the tempo, if you go click on the tempo track, it gives you the list there.
Yeah.
You can just decide you
I want to.
I want it down one beat.
A bit slower, and then we'll move on for now. But.
That probably sounded really good whilst the cellos are playing. Na, 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 na.
Yep, lovely. Let's see.
Okay.
I might actually drop that down an octave as well, just so it's
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's fine.
a little bit more meaty. And then what I'm going to do as well, just for this, to add a bit more meat into the intro, I'm actually going to rename this. I don't think I'll be using too many different string.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to make this one contact instrument
One
for Adagio strings.
Yep.
And that'll change in there. Yeah, that's just another little thing I found. Name your contact instruments when you're going to be using more than one, because it gets super confusing. So I'm going to add another folder in here and go Adagio basses.
Doing the old octave difference thing.
Yeah,
Yay.
which is a very nice little thing. It's super simple, but it's just a nice way to get a bit more layering and meat into. So
I remember, obviously when you're doing the whole octave, what we basically mean by that is with the cellos, if you want the cellos to sound a bit more powerful, I guess, you just basically double the basses underneath them an octave.
Yeah.
But don't tell any basses you're going to do that. Because I remember I remember talking to bass players before, and they were like, fucking hate people who do that. It's the most boring thing. You know, because basses are quite interesting instruments, and you're basically like, you're the big cellos as opposed to, the basses.
Yeah. We have many less choices in
the bass
category. Legato, so I'm just going to try cantabile and see how that works.
What's the other one? Soft slur.
Soft slur.
Well, there's not much choice there, is there?
So the thing is, though, I mean, it's such a staple of scoring in particular to have these doubled strings, and the iconic one as well is the octave violins as well.
Well, the problem with the bass part is that it's easy to have the bass become really muddy. So if you're not having them play the kind of a similar thing, it ends up just, if you're not careful, it just ends up sounding like mud, as the name suggests. It just becomes really kind of
and that's the other thing. And with any scoring as well, particularly when you have a large ensemble, we always like to think of writing with like broad brush strokes rather than trying to be too, you can get right down in the detail if you want, but generally you'll probably find that, kind of starting at least with kind of more broad instrumentation works.
Of course. All right, give it a play.
Actually, no, I'm going to bring that in straight away. So I'm going to layer it in.
Sound good?
That'll do for now.
All right, just carry on. You can fix the small things later.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of things that I probably won't show.
Whoops.
Oh yeah, that's gone underneath. Always be careful what you've highlighted when you're copying and pasting. So there'll be little things like, at the moment, all of these are the same velocity, which kind of makes everything sound a bit more
static.
And artificial. But I won't bother. That's just a case of, maybe if we have time, we'll do a logic thing, but that's just a case of fixing the numbers. Normally I'll write with my keyboard as well. I'm not doing that today because we have to use my input my
The input for the microphone
interface
stuff.
for our recording, but I generally would do that, and that just kind of gives you enough variation in the velocities to run with.
Anyway, carry on.
So the next thing I'm going to do is some percussion. And this is going to be one where I'm not really going to use, if we look at our percussion thing, it's pretty much just like a straight tambourine. So I don't even really need to grab that. But what I'm going to do, we'll color that. Yeah, why not?
It'll work, yeah.
New contact instrument.
Number 5.
Now, I'm going to use, let's use some
Spitfire.
percussion.
The default. They're well good. Definitely worth getting if you're doing orchestral percussion type stuff.
Yeah.
I did see that Orchestral Tools has announced like pre-orders for Berlin percussion at the moment. Which looks really good, but I'm like, I have Spitfire percussion, and Spitfire percussion practically does everything already. So, there wasn't anything that I was very much, gotta get that. It was still like marimba has basic hits with different mallets and bass drums, like hits with the odd kind of fancy avant-garde type thing. And it's like, well, I don't particularly need these.
I'm also going to pull something else in that I might use.
Epic Taika rolls.
But I might go, do I want... Let's go master far. These can be quite heavy on RAM, these ones, but...
That's right, you've got loads.
Yeah,
so.
I finally have 32 gig again in this thing, so...
Hey.
Pro tip number, whatever it is, have lots of RAM in your computer.
I think it's 2.
Whatever.
All right, so the Taika Ensemble, which one's that? Master, so the far mics, but Master.
Just another little like workspace thing. I generally just make sure everything's on a separate output coming out of contact. It just means that if it just makes it much easier if you need to tweak individual instruments and you already have a separate audio channel for them. And I have my contacts set up to basically have like a massive amount of outputs as standard. I think generally you need to just kind of reset the defaults in Contact to do that.
Yeah.
Because it'll only start with like 8 outputs or something. But if you need stereo outputs for each of your output channels, then you'll need obviously twice as many. It's just like a instrument thing. You can do all that in the Contact settings. I'm not going to show that now. So I'm just going to pop some MIDI
make your
channels
things,
in here.
your toms and your whatever you else chose. The thing.
And then
okay. Boom, boom,
just
boom,
go
boom, boom.
toms, bass drum,
Okay, and Taikos.
taiko, master fa. I just try and give a bit of a description of which of your actual instruments you've used on your MIDI channels, and if you have to rebuild it, you're not kind of guessing which ones you have to do. So let's just try some rhythms in here. So I'm just going to draw. This is going to be a fun thing about composing with mouse and keyboard, because again, normally I'll do my keyboard. Now I just have to check what notes this is using. Let's try a soft hit.
Bam, smash.
Oh, that's loud.
I think these ones register velocity via strikes.
Yeah, the other thing is as well, like, make sure that you have the right instrument selected in Contact so it shows you the right keys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that. It's a little bit more padded.
Right.
So that's E2.
E2.
And we'll try doing something like this. So we'll go.
Bam. Na 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 na. Oh wait, no, that's not how it goes. Something like that.
So it should be.
That's probably
fast,
yeah. That's You're in 6/8 as well. Don't forget.
There. Yeah. I'm gonna.
So, because Cubase still shows it as like a 4/4 type thing there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gets very confusing because you see the solid lines are actually on the crotchet beats when 6/8 is on the dotted crotchet. So
yeah. So let's go here. I know what I want in my head. Actually, yeah.
All right, looks right.
One more change.
Okay.
Now, I'm just going to I'll do it like this. Just gonna roughly draw in some.
Okay, some kind of swelling type thing.
Again, like, you know, you can get away with that. It's much more ideal to be using like a proper kind of mod wheel for that, but you can just draw them in and it will work.
Yeah, I completely work through mouse and keyboard, so drawing it in is what I do best.
Yeah. But with these kind of instruments, it's always just best to see how your instrument works. With a lot of these, you're better off building things in with automation rather than messing with mixers in Contact, because when you go and play from a different section, it will just ruin your...
Drop the basses down an octave again, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Can't forget that. Right, now we do the excellent copy paste thing to get our beats and junk done.
It's also just still feeling a tad fast. So I'm going to drop it down a bit more.
Okay.
Now this bass drum sound is a tiny bit soft. So I might actually
turn on the close mic.
Turning on the close mics as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, for a bit more layering, I'm gonna actually let's do it 2 ones in, and same with the bass drums. Now, again, we'll just check.
I don't have the taiko ensemble for ADOs. Any good?
It's quite cool. The thing that I like about it is it gives you, depending on what, because obviously, you know, they have all of the hits in there that you have in typical kind of taiko playing. So you have like the actual drum hits, you have like stick hits and body hits.
Yeah.
So I don't kind of use it as a proper taiko ensemble, but it gives you nice depth to percussive sounds, particularly when you want something kind of big and low. That, you know, a bass drum is a very kind of singular thing, whereas like these ensemble patches give you this nice kind of width to it.
Yeah.
They have a lot of kind of reverb and warmth built in.
Okay.
Excuse me, but that also helps. And one other thing you can do, so I'm just gonna, what I tend to also do a lot with my taiko patches is I'll actually I'm just gonna loop this bar so I can
the old EQ. man's best friend.
Actually,
Also a nightmare.
yeah.
All the time. Okay, so you basically cut it lowering the highs and raising the lows.
Yeah. Now let's bring this in.
It's funny because when I started off doing orchestral stuff in a virtual instrument context, I was very much like, oh, I don't need to learn to EQ or compress or anything like that because it's got to be as natural as it can be. But then you find as you get better and better at it, you're like, oh, actually, you do need to do a lot of subtle EQing and such in order to kind of create a believable thing.
Oh, sure. And it's also good. It's just always good to experiment with EQ because kind of what I'm doing here as well is, it's not the ideal natural balance of the sound, but, sometimes you just want to make a completely different sound just using EQ, which is always good.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to try and motor along a bit because we're chewing up a lot of time.
Yeah.
So let's try and bring something else in. Let's just mute all of these for now. So we'll mute all of our instrument patches and we'll unmute this. So now this is lovely and slow and completely different, but I'll also take off the looping. So the next thing that comes in are these chords. Now again, this is probably where I'm going to deviate a bit more because I'm going to use the kind of melodic cello as the instrument that comes in here as opposed to keeping it in brass. Keeping again with the Game of Thrones theme thing. So
yeah.
I'm going to firstly make another MIDI track in here. Delete all that crap. And now I'm going to bring in another cello track. But I'm going to bring in a solo instrument.
What are the legato choices?
We have Geisha and Instinct. And I might go...
Instincts, for quick. Geisha's for slow.
I might actually go Geisha because it's quite a slow line. And it also gives a bit of contrast. It is nice to balance out... because I'm using a solo instrument in a different context, using a different legato with this sample library kind of gives a nice bit of variety to the sound.
Yeah.
You're not having someone playing exactly the same way. I'm also just going to go ahead and put on the close mic now because I have the feeling that I'm going to want it to be quite present. So let's just bring that in here and I'm going to get rid of this stuff. I'm going to copy this over a couple of times. And give us enough to bring in. So I'm going to start this in bar 5. So we have 2 and 2.
Yep.
Again, I'm just going to chop up this. Why am I snapping there?
You want to switch bar to beat?
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Nope, don't want that. There and there. And we're just going to go ahead and paste this in here. I'm also going to... Now, obviously I don't need all of these notes, so...
So get rid of a handful.
So we're going to just keep this top line. We also... Hang on. Let's just solo this horn for a sec. So we have like that melody line more or less is on the top. So I'm just going to go ahead and start removing all of the bottom stuff. and just leave the top notes there.
Oh, easy enough. There
Yep.
you go.
And then we'll drop that down an octave. Let's see. Oh, I also need to just solo this one now.
Or the other one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm getting confused with my own instruments. Alright, so again, that sounds... Let's see what it sounds like up an octave. That's too high. So we'll keep it there.
Okay.
And we'll just bring all these. Yeah, let's just make it all.
How is the repeated note bit?
Yeah.
Because I found Adagio struggles whenever you have to repeat notes.
Yeah, we'll just make that one note.
Yeah.
The other thing I need to do now is work out how this is going to fit into the timing.
Yeah, because you're in 6/8 as opposed to 4/4.
So let's just mute this one for now. Whoa. I've also still got these. All right, here we go. Yeah, cool. So, I'm actually going to do a little kind of cross rhythm thing here.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll bring this over here. Dun, dun, dun. Yep. We'll see how this sounds. And then these will be 3 beats each.
Okay.
Let's see how that sounds.
Yeah,
Let's
no, I can't tell.
Let's see how it sounds in context. So these are all muted. It's a bit soft. Well, let's actually cheat a bit. Because it's just getting lost in there, so we'll forget the cello and we'll put it up higher. So let's maybe give it to, let's go one up and we'll try giving it to a viola. And I've just gone out of all of my...
Why not?
So like, just for a bit more of that body, then, even though, you know, violin is a very popular melodic instrument when you're writing with string ensemble, violas are nice because they just have that ability to bring in that kind of depth and warmth that the violin loses down in its lower registers. Obviously violins can go right up high and be lovely, but we will try this. So I'm just going to flat out replace that instrument.
Slightly brighter.
Let that load. It is slightly brighter. That's very dark. Huh, that's
moderately,
interesting. That's nifty. I never noticed that. Might also, I don't know, are you feeling cold? I might turn off.
No, I'm fine. No, not too
We'll just
bothered.
have it off for a while.
Beep.
Lovely noise. So let's just see what that sounds like. What I'll do as well, I'm going to bring it up.
Yeah.
Is that too high? That can't be too high. I'm losing sound there for some reason.
Let's have a listen.
Oh, hang on, I'm on the right.
Okay.
It's on the right instrument, that would help. That's always my trick. I always forget one step in the chain.
Yeah.
It's very loud now, so I'm going to take off the close mics. It's not actually bad in a viola. I don't think we were hearing it in the proper cello instrument before, but let's see how it sounds with everything.
Good, yes, no? Yeah.
Doesn't sound too bad. Might actually just give Richard a listen for a
Yeah,
second. He's been sitting in silence for all this time.
It's all right.
And he can't hear anything.
Give it a play. Okay, yeah. Besides having like no reverb and such, it sounds good.
Yeah, and again, you know, that's stuff that we'll obviously do at some point, but there's just may as well leave that until the end, so you're not fiddling around with it in between. I mean, if you're desperate, you can always just run it through a track, but I can't really be bothered, to be honest. Okay, so that's good. Now, what I will have to do is kind of go through and tweak that melody line, which I'm not going to do now because it's going to take a while because you have to go through the whole thing or however long the whole thing I do.
Yeah.
So let's just see.
Make more fancy percussion, I think, because we got like maybe 10 minutes before we wrap things up.
Let's just stay in here. Well, I did have toms in mind, so let's go up here and let's have a bit of a listen. So. We're not going to use the swells.
What, the swells?
Yeah.
Are they just stuck?
No, it's still going, and then.
Okay, that is a long swell. Let's not touch them.
Yeah, so let's build in a bit more of a rhythm over here. So we'll go another bar, and then now C2. Sorry to everyone for my flicking back and forth. That's
it's all right.
The way my mind works sometimes.
You actually write very differently to me. I tend to have a habit of throwing things in and then tweaking them for ages before actually using them. Because I was just thinking about the reverb thing you said, I'll do that at the end, that sort of thing. That's actually something I tend to do first. I tend to do, takes me a while just to kind of decide my reverb after messing about with things. And then I'll probably switch it halfway through anyway. But, and I do a lot of the sound design really early on as opposed to fleshing out the rhythm and such as you are doing currently. Which is interesting to see. I imagine when we get around to me doing one of these instead, you'll see quite a drastic difference between our writing styles. Anyway, how's that rhythm going?
I'm just trying to work it out. Really not
You can actually change the metronome sound on Cubase, which is quite funny because you can change to it if you want.
Yeah, well, it's better than the default metronome. Yeah. This is really abrasive clicking.
Beep, boop.
Yeah, so I need to be in that. Let's try that. I think that's what I want.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we bring the rest of the percussion back in. Yeah, let's... I just don't know about that tom sound. Let's see what else we got in here. No.
God, what else? Is,
What else have I got?
Just Spitfire percussion have like the gong drum or something like that. I remember that being quite good. I think it's in drums low, like gong drum.
Oh, gong drum, yeah.
Yeah. That
Let's
could
try
work.
that.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Toms are a bit too high pitched.
Yeah. Oh, well, everything's soloed now.
That's not bad. Let's see, where are we? C2.
I believe the gong drum is the skin of a bass drum, but kind of without the bass drum.
Oh, yeah.
So it's held up like you would a gong, like via rope over like some kind of pole or post. Yeah, like that picture. That's a gong drum. Why do I need to explain it when it's right there? But that's a skin of a bass drum as opposed to a gong.
Yeah.
Which interesting sound.
Well, let's try all that together. And I'm just going to copy and paste this in now. So, yeah, that gives something else in there. So let's just see. I will also need to tweak the velocities, but it's just a bit loud overall.
Yeah.
The major key.
Yeah.
Maybe I will make it minor eventually, but we'll see.
Yeah, you can do. I've done plenty of remixes that I've literally just switched it to minor.
Yeah. So, well, we're nearly at time now.
Yeah, keep going. You got 5 minutes.
Flies.
Show us some razzle dazzle.
Oh, it's hard to show razzle dazzle at this point in the process.
No, it's very early. We should have done this like further down the line, because at the moment it's very clear that 90% of the time when you're making something, it sounds like garbage, and then the last 10% it just suddenly sounds amazing. That's generally how it works.
True.
With music.
True. It is handy to show the setup, though. I suppose being the first in these videos that we're doing.
We'll do more, and we'll do more further down the process of creating a piece.
Yeah. Let's see if I've got it here. Tell you what, one more thing we can do. It'd be nice and quick.
Yep. Tune timpani.
Because
yeah,
timpani roll there.
Bum bum. There's also a cymbal smash, like at the end of the viola's part in the actual one.
Yeah. I don't need those. Now this will actually come on a bit later, but
yeah,
I can bring that down here for now. And now I just need to get the right keys.
Timpani is interesting with Spitfire because the swells and such are really nice, but I tend to actually use the tremolo or the rolling thing and use the mod wheel like CC1 in order to kind of create a tend to do mainly because I don't generally stick to 4/4 and the typical times that these things are synced to. So I also do a lot of pitch bending. That's good fun with rolls.
Oh, look, velocities are built in here.
Hey.
So all I need to do is apply a key switch, which will be, is that the third one up? So
B D. You're
D. Yeah. Let's try.
If you want just regular rolls, yeah.
Yeah. So
D0.
D0.
It's usually 0, I think, for
No,
Spitfire. They
La,
might have put it down because it's
D,
timpani.
C-2. I'm going to say D-2.
Okay.
We will find out. I'm just going to throw that in there. Definitely worked. I think it's quite loud. Oh, no, that's all right. So we have ready-made timpani roll.
Okay, cool.
Actually, that should be right. No, I don't want that. Oh, hang on. There we go. And I'm gonna
Sweet.
fourth
So,
output.
yeah.
That would be why it sounded weird. See, I forget every time. That's entirely on me. Now we have nothing because it's muted. Well, oh, you know why?
Why?
This is a good example. That sound just there was a good example of machine gunning because.
Okay. Again, I couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
So.
That was a throwback of it being built out of MIDI.
Machine gunning is where a sound effect that is exactly the same is played over and over and to the point where it sounds unnatural. And I'm sure you had a good example there.
Yeah, that kind of
yeah.
Yeah. That'll do for now. That's quite a nifty little roll.
Sweet.
So there's a nice little bit of fruit in there.
All right. Well, we can probably leave it at that then.
Yeah.
The opening hour of Stefan building his Banjo-Kazooie thing I'm sure it wasn't terribly exciting, but it's an interesting insight to see how we work.
Yeah.
We'll do more of these later if these are things people want.
Yeah, and we can put in a bit of variety as well. Show things further down the process, maybe halfway through, and then maybe right at the end as well. Just kind of tidying up before we finish.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, you've seen in that kind of the base work of what happens, and then now for a lot of the rest of the process, it's the same process but just with different instruments. So
when the actual piece is released, you'll hear how drastically it changes.
It will sound
based on
very
what
different.
It sounds right.
It won't sound nearly as clunky and loud as it does now.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time with whatever you decide to watch with us.
See you later.